As there's a drive in a deep left field by Castellanos, it will be.
Oh man, it's 8 o'clock.
And so that'll make it a.
I don't need the spotlight. I shine just fine.
Hi, I'm Karma, and yes, I am a bitch.
Brav Bros. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Brav Bros, your favorite podcast from the bros for everybody, for whoever wants to listen. I'm your co-host, Steele Russell, joined as always by the one and only Back Home McGoots. What's up, dude?
It's funny because we did this in a take earlier, but we had some audio issues, and it was Welcome Home Magome, which I actually really liked. Yeah,
oh, you did?
Well, really appreciated that one. Yeah, good to be home. Just an unbelievably long day of travel yesterday, and first thing I did when I got back, buffalo chicken cheesesteak, mozzarella sticks, because I needed to have some actual food. No offense to England, but putting meat and pastries all the time doesn't always work.
You don't like a meat pie?
It's just, it's good for a bit, but you know,
Mince
day
pie
10
for
of
Becky.
travel, can't do it anymore. So yeah, had some good Philly food, got back, and I slept. My girlfriend fell asleep like 7. I fell asleep like 8:30, and I woke up at 9. So
Lovely.
That is a way to beat jet lag, and it's a way to adjust to a new time period because you sleep for 12 hours.
We're in a new time period, not a new time zone, a new time period.
Time period, yeah. We're in the industrial age back here, which, by the way, why did like so much shit happen when I'm gone? Like, I'm just trying to enjoy my vacation. Not only are the Eagles apparently just falling apart, but they weren't, but it was fake, and they were, and they weren't. But also all this stuff happening with Bravo. I wake up this morning and we've got Sandoval's girlfriend putting him on blast on Instagram stories. I know there was a bunch of things that happened last week. I'm like, yeah, of course. As soon as I leave.
She's retracted her statement.
I saw the retraction too. Yeah. That also happened. So yeah, a lot going on here, but happy to be back. Just getting back in the swing of things.
Yeah, I myself had a quick 36-hour trip. We went to a wedding in Texas on Saturday, which was for a very well-known baseball player. And I won't divulge everything. I will say that he is a spokesperson for Whataburger.
Yeah.
And in the middle of the wedding, like in the back, nobody could see it. Whataburger built a Whataburger in the venue. And they called it Whittaburger. That might be a hint for people out there.
Good.
But it was legitimately, I'm going to post a video of it on our story so you can see it. It was legitimately a Whataburger. Yeah. With tables, chairs, a counter, the whole menu, all of it. The bag said Whittaburger on it. Like all of it was legitimately Whataburger, and you could get as much as you want. It was the coolest thing I've ever seen at a wedding. And I had 5 Whataburgers and 2 honey butter chicken biscuits. It was lovely.
Boy. Now, I have to ask this because this is where my mind went. Was there a huge edible burger?
What?
I thought that you said that there was a huge Whataburger. Oh, the Whataburger, the store.
A location, like a storefront, not a giant burger, dickhead. They built an actual storefront in the back of the wedding venue behind these big curtains, and then you walk through. They had the neon sign, and you walked past it through a hallway, and it opened up into a legitimate location. But it was in the venue, and then they broke it down at the end. I know, it was wild. It was one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
Unreal. Yeah, we're gonna need more of those at any wedding because that makes things great. Because you always have those little lulls where people are doing all their speeches, and sometimes people are doing speeches for 7 hours, and you just want to eat food. Sneak off to a Whataburger in the middle of the dinner and right before the dinner. It
was after the speeches and the dinner and everything, so you had to wait for it, but it was totally worth the wait. It was unfucking believable. The best part is Whataburger did it for free because they're one of his sponsors, and
that's great
PR. So just pictures and stuff.
And now we're giving them PR.
Maybe we'll have a Whataburger built in my house. We need to bring it up north. It's so much better than
not at one of our live shows, not at some event that we're going to do. We're going to have it at Steele's house.
Yeah, fuck everybody. I just want my Whataburger. I'll try to do it at one of our live shows. I don't think it's going to work.
I don't think that's going to work that well.
I don't think Whataburger is going to sponsor a Northeast podcast, seeing as they have no locations up here. But dare to dream, everybody. The lesson of this is dare to dream, okay? Don't let your dreams be dreams, guys. That's what we wanted to say to you on this lovely Monday we're having. It's dreary, cold, gray, and wet, but it is a victory Monday, and just follow your dreams. But with that being said, now we got a little inspirational speech out of the way via Whataburger. Yeah. We're here to talk about Southern charm, and a charming episode it was. I enjoyed all of it. we're going to have to learn to break these down without turning it into a JT roast session because it'll be too easy to do that.
It would be if a noted JT hater didn't actually enjoy this episode. And that would be me. Because I thought that was one of the sometimes I can look at it and just say he is the dumbest, like goofiest person, and I can laugh about it. And I decided to do that for this one. The real evil person comes at the end of the episode today. So we have a lot to say about him. For JT, I'm going to leave it alone. I actually kind of enjoyed it. I thought that it was hilarious. So we're just going to leave that alone.
It was a better episode for him. He did the same stuff, but maybe I'm getting used to it now. I don't really know. But yeah, there is a different villain. And for those of you that listened last week, I went to the premiere last week solo. I took Riley, my sister. She works in New York, so it worked out. She got to see, the Bravo world a little bit. Which she was very entertained. The funniest part, dude. So I'm at the table, and it's called Carriage House, and it's Austen and Craig, they're partners in this restaurant. So they did it there. Not a huge venue, really nice, but I'm sitting at a table. I posted up early because I knew the tables would fill up. I'm like, I'm just going to sit my ass down right here and just people watch because that's what I like to do.
Yeah.
Riley has to go to the bathroom. So she goes and she's gone for like 15 minutes because it's crazy in there. And she comes back and it's Zach Wickham from the Valley and his boyfriend. And they come up to the table and they're like, Riles, right here. We're going to sit right here, Riles. And I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, hey, Zach. And he's like, hey, I'm Zach. And I'm on the Valley. I was like, yeah, I know. I'm Steele. I have a podcast, whatever. Riley became best friends with Zach and Benji, his boyfriend. They sat at our table the entire night. We shot the shit. He was a riot. His boyfriend, Benji, is the man. He's going to be on the show, but mainly in the background, he says eating. You don't really see much of him,
good.
But he'll be in the background eating. They were delightful. Brittany hung out with us for a while. It was a fucking hysterical night. The Southern hospitality crew showed up. So I hung out with our boy Joey Bottles for a while, and I actually met Whitney, which I will save for when we talk about Whitney.
Okay, all right.
I have some T's and F's, some thoughts and feelings about that guy that I will divulge because guess what, everybody? As you know, we don't give a fuck.
No, I was actually.
What I think.
I do have a question. What does Zach's hair look like in person? Helmety or not helmety?
He had a hat on, and I will say the first thing he said, he goes, so you have a podcast? I was like, yeah. He goes, did you comment on my hair? And I was like,
yes,
maybe. We might have. And he was like, it's okay, everybody. He was a good sport. He was a really good sport. He's a lovely guy. Like when I tell you we had a blast, we hung out with him and Benji for like 3 hours straight. It was fucking hysterical. So
no, that's the old fashioned putting a hat on a hat. Am I right?
Yeah, like Riley being Riley, like of course, like she doesn't know any of these people. She's like, "Why are you guys here?" And Zach's like, "Oh, I'm on one of the shows." And she's like, "Oh, cool." And they just became best friends.
Oh, that's great.
Benji went to the photo booth. Here's a funny story for everybody. Again, I don't care. They went to the photo booth. So it's my sister Riley and Benji, Zach's boyfriend, and they wanted to go. They had one of those old school like photo booths where like takes the 4 pictures or whatever. There was a Southern Charm member standing outside right by the booth.
Mm-hmm.
One of the women on the show, she's been around for only a couple of seasons. She had a really rough go last year. You do the math.
Yep.
Riley and Benji wanted to take pictures. Just those two. She was standing right next to the booth. She turns to Riley and goes, "Oh, I really don't feel like taking pictures right now, guys. Like, I'm sorry." Riley's like,
could you imagine? Who
Riley
would
goes,
take a picture with her?
Riley goes, "We don't really want to take pictures with you anyway." And like goes in the booth. It's like, what the fuck? She comes to me and tells me that story. She's like, yeah, like, I don't know who she is. I didn't give a fuck. And she thought we wanted her to take pictures. I was like, that's kind of embarrassing. Really funny. Probably going to share that story. So yeah,
very
you
embarrassing.
can do the math on who that is. Yeah. Riley just wanted pictures with her new BFF Benji, and a third party decided, I don't want pictures right now, guys. Please get the paparazzi away from me.
God.
So yeah. All in all, it was a lovely night. I had a really nice time. And I got talked to Craig for a little while, talked to like other people in the cast. Everyone's super nice except one guy. Yeah, I'll talk about him later. Yeah. But let's jump in to this episode. And I will give a shout out to Whitney drinking Pappy Van Winkle. Do you know how expensive those bottles are? Like they said
yeah.
on the show, like $2,000, and they also only drop like 1 case a year, and you have to be in line in like a lottery to get them. So that's crazy. Just sipping on that in the middle of an afternoon on a special occasion.
Well, weirdly enough, actually, I was at because I recently, a couple of weeks ago, just kind of putting my apartment together. We got a little bar cart over here, so we wanted some good bottles, and I said maybe I want a whiskey bottle, just something a little nicer, whatever. Saw one of those. It was a 10-year, not a 15, but it was at a random ass like dingy Jersey store on the way back from going to Costco. Driving back, saw it up there, started laughing, and then there's a little sticker that hangs like on the side. And it was like $1,700 for the 10-year. I'm like, yeah, that checks out.
Yeah, that's
even in this
happy
store,
for
it's
you.
still, yeah.
Doesn't matter. That shit's expensive as hell.
Yeah,
It's delicious. Let me tell you.
Is it?
Oh my God,
Ooh.
it's so smooth. It's so smooth.
So smooth.
Oh, Pappy. Oh, sweet, sweet Pappy. Don't send me down this rabbit hole. Let's get back to the episode. We get to Shep. Then we get to FaceTime with Sienna, his new girlfriend. It sounds like they met on Raya. I would imagine that's the dating app he's using.
Yeah.
And she's Miss Bahamas. Now, some things have come out recently, and I'm not sure if it's in regards to Sienna, but it's about dating fans of the show. It sounds like a scenario in which somebody wanted to get famous, track down Shep, got an in. I don't know if that's Sienna or somebody that he gets with later, but that's on my radar. So as I'm watching every scene with her, I am trying to figure out, are you the one that quote unquote fooled him? And I will say, it's a red flag for me. The first thing that he says, he's like, I would love to come down there and stay with you for an extended period of time. She's like, nah, I'm just really busy. Got a lot going on. Like, yeah, let's not do that. So it sounds like somebody's a little more invested than the other person.
We've heard those sorts of accusations for a lot of those shows that feature, more of an ensemble cast rather than the housewife shows. I don't think that there's ever been that's actually not true. There are definitely guys that do date housewives, such as Johnny J.
No, why? Dude, we don't have to talk about him anymore. Come on.
Got to use him as an example. Johnny J is the worst of all of them, but we've heard them for Summer House. We've heard them for Southern Hospitality, and we've seen that there's a potential stepping ladder from Southern Hospitality over to Southern Charm, depending on what you see, a little pipeline, if you will. So I'm not super surprised about any of that, and wouldn't be surprised because of the way they're setting it up. We saw for the season trailer, and then we saw, coming in the future on this show, blah, blah, blah. It looks like Madison starts talking about how she's a fan of the show. We're not positive if it's Sienna, but I'm pretty sure it is. I don't know I think that when it comes to Shep, he's just enamored by beautiful women, and he starts talking to them, doesn't realize, oh, they're just talking to me for the show, or he does and just uses that to his advantage. So at the end of the day, if he doesn't care, then I'm going to leave it alone. But if he starts complaining about it, then obviously we're going to have to rip into it.
I think that's what I saw. I think recently, like, he came out and said something against it where he was like not happy with the situation. So that's why if he didn't give a shit, we wouldn't give a shit.
No, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if it wasn't a problem for him, then why are we going to waste our time talking about it? But it's something to keep an eye on. So keep that on your radar, everybody. I do think it's interesting that everything he says is good about her is everything that Taylor is not. He makes a very big point to point out she's a lot of things that Taylor wasn't. I'm like, geez, dude. Like, not everyone likes her anymore either. You don't have to do this part. This just is kind of sad. Just like a teardown. But you're getting the side by side with Taylor and Gaston, who is very sexually inclined, by the way.
Very sexually inclined.
Breaking news. Dude likes sex. I know. It's earth shattering that Gaston likes to bang.
I was pretty surprised.
I was shocked. He didn't seem the type.
No.
I didn't. You couldn't have chalked that one.
Not with a name like Gaston. No way.
Gaston likes to fuck. Are you serious?
Wow. How about that? Why is that not a headline?
What a weird thing to say. Like, okay, cool. You guys are banging. Good. Congrats on the sex, guys. But I mean, they seem fine. She brings up marriage, which is shocking. They've been dating for fucking like 7 months. Like, slow down, maybe. But
he didn't yell at her while they were playing pickleball. That's a good step in the right direction.
It looks very normal. I don't have any issues with it. Like, again, we have our issues with Taylor from last season, but like, if she's happy with this dude, they're happy together. It's a normal relationship. She deserves, regardless of her behavior last year, she deserves somebody that's going to treat her well. So hopefully Gaston is that. I don't know. We'll see more from him, I'm assuming, throughout the season. But, I think the biggest thing to take away from these juxtaposed scenes is the line from Shep saying, I know that Taylor's whole family, her grandfather, her parents, like he literally lists off like 6 different relatives, wish that she was still with him. Now,
Weird.
weird to say,
Mhm.
damning if true. And it could just be, he comes from a good Southern family, the good Charleston family. He's got a lot of money. You'd be taken care of. I don't know. That's a lot to speculate on when we don't really know. And
I
I'm
think
not
it's
going to.
I took it more as we've seen Shep be Shep and do things like yelling at her during a water bottle or a water balloon toss. But I can imagine the way that he is with parents and relatives. He puts on a facade of, I'm this happy go lucky, super nice, rich guy, which every family's going to love. And if they're not watching the show, then they don't know. And they're listening to Taylor talk about things. And we've seen Taylor's family. We saw Taylor's family last year. They strike me as a little weird, a little eccentric, if you will. So I'm not surprised to hear any of that. And also with Shep being Shep, I can see him putting on this whole personality for family members that show that he's this great guy who's just a stand-up guy that loves his girlfriend. And then as soon as they're back in the car, he complains about literally everything that happened. So
Yeah.
not surprised by that.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, we'll see what plays out from that. But we get to a scene with JT, and he just bought another rental property. So he's got himself a slew of Airbnbs throughout the Charleston
Said
region.
8.
I think he's got 8. This is 9, maybe. He's got 8 or 9 somewhere. This
Yeah.
is his biggest one with 9 bedrooms. I guess it technically classifies as like a hotel. He had to zone it as a hotel, whatever. He's bringing mom and sis in to decorate. They are the eyes of the project, if you will. They painted a nice, lovely scene of the marsh that they're going to put. It's a massive painting that's going to highlight the house. I don't really know. I will say, as far as JT scenes go, like if he was like this all the time, he would be much more tolerable because he still has like some JT-isms in there where he's like, I'm shocked I disrespected Miss Pat. Like it was a joke. Like the fact that he doesn't know better to give to an 80-year-old a cane, and that's not going to be seen as disrespectful. But all in all, it's like, all right, you're mainly focused on you right now. You're focused on things that you fucked up and trying to make up for them, i.e. writing Miss Patricia a letter. And you're not talking about other dudes on the show and your issues with them when you're not involved with it. Like, I think that if he was able to stick to, which we see very soon after this, that he's just simply incapable of doing that.
Yeah.
But if he was, like, this is fine. Like, he's still not my favorite, but I don't care. I'm like, all right, you're just another guy on the show and you run Airbnbs and this is your thing.
Yeah.
I wish he would stick to this and the Venita storyline and just leave all the other stuff alone, because that's where he loses everybody. And again, it's this like white knight in shining armor up on this pedestal bullshit that makes us not believe you're a good person.
Well, I think, yeah, it's the white knight bullshit that really bothers me, especially watching and knowing a type of guy who would go after Taylor in a vulnerable state and then convincing everybody that he's a great guy while considering himself to be up on some huge pedestal above somebody like Austen, above somebody like Shep, when in reality, he's not. We all know what kind of guy he is, so it doesn't really matter. And him sitting there talking about all of those things while going through this scene with his mom, obviously he's going to have a different level of respect for his mom. So he's going to talk about Miss Patricia and he's going to feel bad and understands that maybe he did something wrong, especially with their reaction. But we didn't see him do that. We saw him say that she was blowing it out of proportion. Are you kidding me? It was just a joke. That's who he really is. But he's afraid of his mom at the end of the day. But for scenes with JT, if he can just do it in a funny way that he's not obsessed with these guys, like say he wanted to go after Shep a little bit instead of Austen. Like if you just moved on from one person instead of just sticking to Austen, I don't think it would be that much of an issue because he's an idiot. And if you just treat him like an idiot, which it looked like Shep and Craig are doing in this next scene, that's the way to approach JT. He's a goofball. He says random shit. He tries to get under your skin because he's just like that annoying little guy in every friend group. He doesn't, yeah, he's a gnat and he just won't go away. And if you just treat him like a joke, he will eventually be a joke and you won't have to worry about him anymore. But people keep getting irritated by him and I don't blame them. So I do agree that in a scene like this, it's like you do have more to offer. I don't know if it's like he should be on this show. I think he's got enough going on in his life and like that's okay. Like talking about being rich and owning all of your Airbnb properties and having like a little bit of a coy smile at the end of it. It's like, okay, yeah, fine, whatever, to go ahead and do it. But it's when he does the other things that get annoying where he won't stop and he won't stop pestering. That's when we all get pissed at him. If you just do like one or two things just to stir the pot and then take a step back and then you have to face the music when you have to face the music, fine, whatever. But don't keep going down that alley because that's when we get pissed at you.
Agreed. So, I mean, again, it falls off almost instantly.
Yeah.
But we'll get to it when we get there. The next scene is Molly, and she's giving us a little bit more of her background. She was adopted by 2 attorneys. She plays the euphonium, which is a little tuba.
Didn't know what
that
that
was a
was.
thing.
No
Yeah, me
idea what
neither.
that thing was.
Me neither. But then it made me really think about like how many iterations of instruments there are in an orchestra.
Oh,
Yeah, because I do know there's a violin, there's a viola, there's a fiddle, there's there's all different kinds. So when you think it's just one thing, there's lots more there. Right, guys?
Right.
Again,
But-
life lessons. You may think you're a tuba, but you might be a euphonium.
Oh God, I'm so mad at myself for thinking that you were actually setting up like a clever remark about somebody else on the show, and then you just stopped and you're like, "Nah, just a good life lesson,
No,
guys."
it's just a good life lesson, guys. Just because you're not a tuba, you could be kind of like a tuba. Maybe you're a euphonium.
Maybe
Okay.
you are.
Maybe you are, and that's okay too. But she's talking more, and this is important for later, about the modeling thing. She's been doing a lot less modeling because she's gained like 40 pounds, and I guess that's affected her modeling career. We know that she has a thyroid issue, I believe, is what she talked about, and it's an imbalance of hormones that she talks about later. And she's on some medicine that causes binge eating, all of these different things. The biggest thing to take away, the biggest thing is like in this scene, it's like she's gorgeous. Like she's a very, very pretty woman. She doesn't look like she gained some exorbitant amount of weight and shouldn't be modeling. Like, I think that's the biggest thing to keep in perspective as we go through this episode, especially when we get to the end, is one, we know how she feels about herself and her relationship with food at this current moment. And it's got to sting even more because she's losing out on modeling jobs because she's had this weight gain.
Yeah.
But objectively speaking, you look at her, you're like, wow, she's really, really pretty. So like, it sucks. And I'm sure that this is something that resonates with a lot of people out there. So I'm glad that she's talking about it. It's just shitty to watch because you're like, man, that's not what you look like. Like you might feel this way, but that just sucks that that's your own opinion about yourself. And especially when it's echoed by some moron later on, that's not helpful. But
And unfortunately, that seems to be the MO for a lot of these shows, whether it's a housewife show or one of these sort of other, like a different type of show. When somebody has body image issues, it's almost like immediate that somebody else is going to bring it up or they're going to make a comment. And it's like, fuck off. Like we saw with OC with Emily. Emily's just trying to voice her concern with herself and talking about her own body image. We don't need somebody else to comment on it. Same with this.
Heather.
She's opening up to us in a confessional, in a scene, talking about all the things that she's gone through. And that's got to be hard in itself. And obviously, you're going to have a lot of people that are looking at you like, oh my God, you're still beautiful. Like, why are you worried about it? But she's worried about it because it's her body. So, of course, leave her alone, let her get through it. And thank you for sharing. That should be it. Don't use that information to then put it on somebody else, as we see a little bit later. And we've seen it on so many of these different shows. And it's like, how the fuck? Sometimes I do have those moments where you're watching something, like we're watching something for a show, and it's like, well, yeah, duh. Why would you bring that up? Don't fucking throw that in somebody's face. And then it gets thrown in somebody's face, and you're like, how does everybody not understand that? How does everybody's brain not work that way? Like, how do you have to be that much of a piece of shit because you can't get it your own way? And that is, again, we're just foreshadowing a rip down of somebody a little bit later, which if you watch the episode, you know what we're talking about.
Yeah, and you know what we're getting to, yeah. But check in with Brett and Madison, and come to find out that he has been diagnosed with thyroid cancer, which is awful and extremely scary. And we love Brett. We love Brett and Madison. We love Brett, Madison, and Hudson. Like this little family is so delightful watching it take shape over the past couple of years, watching Madison grow up, and she's night and day from the Madison that we saw in the earlier seasons. And like seeing her with Brett, she's finally happy. So to hear that this is going on is awful. They're trying to get it sorted. It sounds like they removed the cancer, but now he's having some ramifications from either the procedure or maybe it's flaring back up. I don't know. And I will not speculate on that. All we're going to say is we hope that it gets sorted. We hope that he's okay and that they're all okay. And I can't emphasize enough, like just watching the scene, like him and Hudson making pancakes together in their kitchen, and Madison's just like watching over and talking about how difficult it is to be strong for Hudson. Like this kind of shit is real, and it's something that's like tougher to watch. And again, it's going to resonate with a lot of people. So I'm glad that they're being open about this whole thing. It's just at the end of the day, I fucking love Brett. Brett's a real man on like a show full of, man children. And I need them to be okay. And I really hope that he's doing better. And I hope we get an update on that throughout the season. But this scene was sad. This really bummed me out.
Yeah, and I know that Madison, I I'm not going to paraphrase because I only like read through it one time right before we started recording, but she did share an update, and she, you know, apparently they had this completely under wraps. Like, she wasn't posting about it. He wasn't posting about it. And, you know, why would you? If you want to keep that close to the chest, of course, go ahead and do that. But obviously sharing this on the TV show is a lot different. So it looks like she did post an update. Again, I'm not positive what the update actually said, so I'm not going to paraphrase on that. But Madison has had one of the biggest character developments of any person in any reality TV show. She was fearless. She had these crazy teeth that she would just go after you with anything. She had fangs that would just blow up, just go after you for any little detail, and she would ruin your life if she wanted to. And that person can still be there. And I hope that person pops out every once in a while, just not at their own expense. So seeing these scenes with them now, it's like, yeah, you almost forget about all of the things before, whether you liked her or hated her, who she was 10 years ago, 8 years ago, whatever it was, and who she was with Austen. You see something like this and you're just like, wow, this is a beautiful moment with a nice little family. Love to see it. And since we did have a little short break there, I was able to read the Madison update. She just put out there that she, you know, thanks everybody for reaching out, obviously after sharing it on the episode, and that everything's moving in the right direction, and they're just kind of taking it one step at a time. So hopefully everything works out well. Hopefully we get a clean bill of health from Brett at some point in the future. But again, I mean, that's one of those things that anytime that something like that happens and they share it on this show, it's like Brett's not a mainstay on the show. He's not a real cast member. He doesn't have to do any of this. He doesn't have to share if he doesn't want to. And here we are. So appreciate it and hope for the best.
Yeah, we're all thinking about you, Brett and Madison and Hudson. We're thinking about all of you guys because we love that little fam. It's so sweet. But let's go on to the golf simulator, because what a scene. What a scene. Not only on a TV show, but just in real life. Like what a scene, because you get JT, Craig, and Shep. I guess JT and Craig had been friends previously, and the whole Austen shit last year definitely threw a wedge. So this is almost like what I read this scene as, especially given the whole Kane thing at the Carolina Cup, was this was the first chance to really hang out and move on. Like, this was Craig almost being like, all right, dude, you offered an olive branch in the form of a cane to Austen. We can finally put all of that weird shit from last year behind us and be able to move forward now. So, like, let's squash it. Let's play some golf. Let's get into some other nonsense. But, of course, and I thought there was hope, because JT's like, you know, I'm just hoping we can be civil and move on. Like, did that olive branch work? Like, do you guys think it worked? And Craig's like, look, dude, I think it was a good step. Things are looking up. Let's move on. He brings up Miss Patricia, like, you know, I wasn't trying to insult her, whatever. And it just gets confusing because Madison invited me to an event, but then she didn't talk to me. So is she pissed at me because of Patricia? One, yes, because she rides and dies for Miss Patricia, as most of us do. And two, what that doesn't allude to is this weird FaceTime that he got in the Bahamas from Madison. And he has the nerve to say, I just don't know what's going on with Madison because, you know, she wore my blue and whites, as he calls them.
My stripes.
I hated that. I hated that he called him his stripes. I was like, you're not a decorated military man. Like, what are you talking about? Your stripes. Like, it's a fucking, like, yacht comfort outfit.
Yeah.
But whatever. He says that he thinks that Brett has an issue with him because Madison wore his blue stripes, and that there was a FaceTime that Brett was present for as well, where she said, can you say and tell us what happened in Jamaica? JT is under the impression that Brett thinks that Madison may have slept with him. I'll say that again because it's so unbelievable. JT believes that Brett thinks that JT slept with Madison. As Craig so eloquently puts, nobody thinks that Madison slept with you. I can't reiterate that enough. Not one person watching the show, not one person on the show thinks that you and Madison had an affair. This was never a question mark. I don't know what that FaceTime was about. It was probably about your weird behavior in Jamaica. That's probably what she's asking about, or your behavior with Taylor, or moving on with Venita. Whatever it might have been, the last thing she was asking for you to explain to Brett was that you guys didn't hook up.
I need to know what the FaceTime was about, because the idea that Madison's even FaceTiming JT in the first place is bizarre to me. So I don't think that the FaceTime even happened to begin with.
Oh,
But
This is all a facade.
if it did happen, I need to know what it's about. And we didn't kind of talk about it at the end of the episode, but we don't know if it happened, what happened during that FaceTime.
We'll
Because
get
the whole
full
thing
story.
is, I hope so, because I can't imagine. And I do hope that it was Madison reaching out just to give him shit and saying, what are you doing? You look like an asshole. You're treating Taylor very weird. You're getting in Austen shit constantly. Why don't you stop? But could you imagine if this actually happened and nobody's going to believe JT, of course?
Oh,
Like,
you think
what if it was like a
this is
weird,
true?
what I mean, look, love Brett, love everything that we see about him. But what if behind closed doors, Brett is very jealous? And for some reason, he thought that JT and Madison hooked up. And this actually happened, but nobody's going to believe it. And no one's going to listen to JT when he starts talking about it. The whole thing is very weird. The timing doesn't make a whole lot of sense because that happened like last year. Why are we talking about it now? I know that everybody hated you last season and they didn't really hang out with you in the off season. Now they're forced to hang out with you now in this season because you have to film with them. So now you're pulling it out. It just, none of it really makes any sense. And the only thing that you can do if you're JT right now is let's keep talking about more conspiracy theories about how my head is turning. Let's talk about everything else rattling around in my brain.
Don't do that.
Why
Don't
not?
do that. First of all, let me
But
clarify.
it
that
only
you do
works.
not believe that Brett actually thinks.
No,
that they
I
hooked
no,
up. Okay,
no
great.
chance,
Thank
no
you.
chance in hell. But I do think it's funny only because Shep and Craig gave it zero validity. They did not listen to anything he had to say. They were just making all the faces, laughing at everything that he said. And we can go down the list of all of the things that he was pulling out that made zero sense. But doing this on the heels of, I just want to get into a good place with everybody so nobody hates me. And I'm going to do this weird Kane thing. Now Patricia already hates me. Madison hates me because of the Patricia thing. Whitney's going to hate me because of the Patricia thing, of course. And then everybody else is going to have some weird feelings about it. I need to just stay the course, apologize, write a nice little letter, and then move on with my life so that people don't come after me. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to go to the other end of the spectrum. I'm going to point out every other person at that party and say that I have a problem with them and that just start throwing questions out there. Do you think this is weird? How about this one? It's just such bizarre behavior. And because Shep and Craig didn't believe it, I was dying laughing the whole time because that is the only approach that you could possibly have to JT going off like that. You can only sit there and laugh at him and give it zero time of day, no attention at all, and just tell him that he's a fucking lunatic. Because otherwise, you start talking to him and asking more questions about it, he's going to think you believe him. And then when you're at a party next week and it comes up to everybody and everybody's sitting there, he's going to say, I talked to Craig about it and Craig was asking questions. I think Craig believes me. Now you're involved. You know not to go down that slippery slope.
Well, no, I think Craig did a good job of excusing himself from the situation after, because he drops that bomb and you're like, all right, dude, like, get real. And then to add some more sprinkles on top of the conspiracy, he's like, well, let's talk about Austen. He was wearing polka dot pants that exactly matched Madison's polka dot dress. Dude, you're all from
It was on the
Charleston.
invitation.
You're from Charleston.
It was on the invitation.
It
It was a
was?
polka dot party.
Jesus Christ. And what are we talking about? I was just, even if it wasn't in my head, I'm like, all right, they're in Charleston. You wear that like Lily Pulitzer shit. It's a lot of polka dots and like you're going to a horse race.
Mhm.
Polka dots make a lot of sense. Polka dots, florals, corals. Like, yeah, that's what you're going to wear to these things.
Florals, corals, and morals.
Yeah. Throw those last ones
That's
out the
Southern
window,
charm.
right? But like, none of it was. No, I'm not seeing Austen, the ex-boyfriend, wearing polka dot pants and her wearing a polka dot dress and being like, ooh, did they plan this? Like, why would they do that? That doesn't make any sense. And it leads to him talking more about Austen and his relationships. And he heard from Leva. And now we got some clarification because you and I had a little disagreement on this as to what was said. And I was right. I heard Austen had a relationship with somebody else amidst him dating Audrey. We have no way of knowing this. We have no evidence. We don't know who he was allegedly hooking up with or not. Like, there's just no evidence. But at the same time, JT, you just said that you wanted to move on from this shit. You just said that you offered an olive branch. We just gave you props in the scene prior to be like, all right, just take this approach and you'll coast your way through the season, no problem. But to throw yourself back into the heat of this thing, and Craig and Shep say the same thing, like, dude, it's none of your fucking business.
Yeah.
Like, why do you bring this guy up so much? Why are you so obsessed with Austen? Craig bows out. He's like, I'm not doing this shit again. I'm not going to sit here and listen to you talk shit about him. Leva's lying. I've heard nothing to the contrary. I'm not going to sit here and drag Austen. He leaves. Shep's trying to be the voice of reason because JT's like, why is he so upset? It's like, why do you think, dude? You're doing the same shit again. And Shep's like, you just need to shut up. He's like, words matter. Just stop talking. You do yourself no favors. Anytime that you get the reins in a scene, you just spiral into conspiracy. And you're talking to the conspiracy master via Craig. And even he's like, fuck off, and leaves. He leaves you there. That was your one chance to smooth it over. It was your one chance to move on from last year. And you just threw yourself back into the thick of it. And that was just a very silly, stupid move on JT's part.
Yeah, and I don't think that he necessarily cares, but at the end of the day, we have to keep thinking about how JT approached the beginning of the season. In real time, he's talking about how he's taking a step away because this was bad for his mental health. And the only person I can see that you can potentially blame is JT. You don't have to do any of this. I understand if you're trying to make good TV, but you can't do this and then come away from it saying that this ruined my mental health and I need to take a step away from it. You keep doing this shit. If you didn't want to do that and go down that path, then you could have just moved on from last year. You could have tried to find a different way in here. You're friends with Venita, which I don't know where the hell that's going to go, but you're friends with Venita and she's giving you advice on every little thing that you're doing. Just listen to Venita. She seems like a voice of reason. Go with that.
Absolutely. If Venita's in your corner and she is like that little angel on your shoulder that's like, don't do this, always listen to her. The other side is you, JT. You're the little devil on your other shoulder that gets you into trouble and gets you into stupid scenarios that you create out of nowhere via conspiracy. Listen to the little Venita on your shoulder, this little angel that's trying to keep you sane and in this group. She's doing her best to keep you on TV and to have all of us on this side of things not pile on. That's what she's trying to protect you from the group and from the Bravo fandom. She's trying her best. And all that's happening is you're dragging her down into it. And we love Venita. She should not be a part of this, but because she's nice and cares about you for some reason, she's trying. Just listen to anything Venita says. Whatever Venita tells you to do or not do, say or not say, nod your head, say, thank you, Venita, for looking out for me, and then do that. At no point should you be left to your own volition to do anything. You should not be in charge of you because you do stupid things and you have somebody with a brain trying to help you in Venita. So just fucking listen to her. Please. Please. You don't. You clearly don't because we know where the season goes.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's a little like hindsight advice for you. Just listen to Venita, please. But anyway, Austen's headed over to Craig's. We get an update. He seems to be very happy with Audrey. He even misses her.
I know,
big
right?
Steps for this guy. He misses
Huge
somebody.
step.
Yeah.
One big step during this scene when he's riding to Craig's and one huge step back. Sitting there and talking about Craig with his head so far up his ass that he's, you know, in this new world. You can't do that. Like, of all the things that are going on, like, just point to how Craig is handling the Shep situation. Shep was a mess. Craig removed himself from the situation and ghosted Shep. We just saw it with JT. JT started getting messy. Craig is removing himself. Craig doesn't really, and yeah, there were things where him and Austen were at odds and he was treating him differently. Let's just go through the things that Austen did that Craig stepped around for or stayed around for. Austen started off with Sierra and he fucked her over. Sierra is Paige's best friend. He then went to Summer House and fucked around with Lindsay and then caused even more drama. And Craig stayed there. He then moves into the Southern Charm season and he hooks up with Taylor, Shep's ex. And there's a whole thing going on with all of that. Craig stayed with him for all of those things. Austen needs to get his head out of his own ass and stop talking badly about Craig because Craig is your only good friend. We look at all of these things. He's the only one who's sticking by you. Shep can't be a good friend. We know that. Craig will be. You need to align yourself with Craig. You need to look at his beautiful backyard and you need to say, wow, that is a beautiful backyard. I want to do what you're doing. I'm going to keep going down that path and I want to be you. That would be a good move for Austen.
He started out with that. He said, maybe I should take some notes from Craig. But at the same time, he's so far up his own ass, he likes the way it smells. It's like, just align, like you said, align yourself with this guy. He's doing well. And like, he doesn't have time for the bullshit because he's doing well and he's busy. And he says, like, when it gets to like nighttime, I don't want to go out. I want to cook dinner and hang out and go to bed. He's just growing up. He's moving on. And he's trying his best to stay in your life and like help you out, whether that's just by showing you the way or whatever. But you can't fault him for taking care of himself.
No.
And like you said, very well, I might add, just by mapping out what we've seen Austen do over the, what is this, 2 years now? The past 2 years?
Well, that's the thing that Austen and Shep like to do. They point to Craig 10 years ago. Like Craig didn't have his shit together 10 years ago. He lied about passing the bar, and we see a little bit more of this where he's not passing the bar and he's lying about graduating college and all of these things. It's 10 to 12 years ago.
Shep, you cheated on your girlfriend that you loved last
2
year.
years, yeah, last year, 2 years ago. Austen, you hooked up with Shep's ex-girlfriend that he loved last year.
Let's not throw stones.
This is all recency bias. I understand this, but you're all doing this. So leave Craig alone because he's the only one who's in a good place now and set for the future. He's got a girlfriend that loves him, that they will figure it out, and we refuse to talk about until they figure it out. But that's it. That's all we're going to hear about that. You two need to get it together. Stop blaming Craig for all of these things and stop talking about things that he did before because he's in such a better place than you guys are.
I think it's just, a little envy.
Yeah, it's definitely
the color of envy. Green doesn't look good on you guys.
Nope, not down in Charleston.
No, we don't wear green in Charleston. Everyone knows that.
Everybody knows that.
It's like wearing white after Labor Day. Don't you dare. God damn it. But Craig fills Austen in on JT's most recent JT-ery, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously Austen's, I don't even think he has time for it anymore. I don't know what his response is going to be. It's going to be interesting to watch. If he's smart, he'll just stay out of it. At the same time,
say, "I told you so." That's all you got to do.
Yeah, and I'm glad he has that. So like, he feels vindicated. He feels like, and especially later when more's coming out about JT, like he feels like he's proven his point. I hope he sticks with that and realizes like you really don't have to do a lot here. You're gonna hurt yourself if you get into it with JT because he's gonna drag you down into that just like annoying gnat behavior to where you snap and now you look like you're overreacting. Let him bury himself. I hope that he sticks with that approach. And the funny thing is as this is going on, Venita goes over to JT's new apartment. And bless her heart. Like she's trying to see his side of things. She's trying to be a good friend. JT's giving her the run through with the Craig and Shep. He's like, they both got in my face about the Levis stuff. Like they're foaming at the mouth. I'm like, that's not what happened at all. You put yourself in a bad spot. They removed themselves from the situation and they questioned you about it because they don't agree with you. But now you're spinning it into this whole different thing. Venita, trying her best to salvage the situation, was like, well, it looks like you were just looking for friends and you need people that you can talk to and trust. I'm like, yeah, sure, I guess.
Fine.
But did you tell her the context of what you were talking about? And he does a little bit, but he just says it was about the Levis stuff. And Venita's like, in a confessional, like, dude, you just got back in. Just play it cool. Just coast. That's what we're saying. Like, just coast for a while, bro. Don't go in like this. I think that he must feel like, and it's clearly some complex he has about himself that he has to prove himself or like drum up drama or come up with a storyline, show that he is worthy of being in the spotlight with these other dudes. It's like they didn't set the bar very high, dude. Like these guys, for all intents and purposes, most of them are messes. Like they cheat. They're trying to figure out their life late in their 30s, into their 40s. I think Whitney's in his fucking 50s.
I think so. I was trying to figure that out without looking it up.
You don't have to do that much to come out smelling pretty good here. And yet you continue to do the wrong thing, even with Venita, who's trying so hard to be like, yeah, you need friends too. Eesh. Like, I don't know what to tell you, dude. Like,
I thought this scene was like way more of a planting a seed for JT and Venita. And I didn't care for it because obviously we're not getting anything out of JT. If JT was that much of a lunatic and that much of an idiot, he would have sat there and gone through everything that he brought up at the golf simulator.
The Madison stuff too.
He brought up some of it, and like you can tell Venita is just like, stop. Just I know what you're trying to do. Just enough. It's not going to go well for you. It's not going to go well for me because now I'm attached to you. I don't want to deal with any of this. But all of the other things happening in this scene were just little like niceisms of, oh man, you don't live like a 5-minute walk anymore. I have to get in the car and I have to drive over and we can't do breakfast. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening?
I'll make that drive for you.
Yeah. Like, what is that?
I'll make that drive for you.
You'd make that drive for me.
For you? No, I'm not driving a fucking Fairmount.
Come on.
Nah, maybe on like a Saturday. For little Brecky.
Yeah, see, there we go. Yeah. Little Brecky. But I didn't care for the seeds being planted of what is this? I still don't know what it is. And I don't want to know.
You don't know. Time will tell.
I don't want to know.
You're gonna.
I know.
You're gonna find out eventually. But
good.
Let's get to the Easter Extravaganza at Patricia's. And she's setting up the whole thing. It's nice. You know, it's very, very Miss Patricia, you know, over the top, regal.
Oh, yeah.
We love it. But she's trying to set up Molly and Whitney. She puts them next to each other, puts their name tags there, which is nice. And I hope that Molly sees that because she questions if Miss Patricia will see her as classy, or she looks down on her. So I hope that she watched this scene and goes, oh, okay, she's trying to hook me up with her son. So clearly she thinks well of me, because I really like Molly. I think she's a good addition to this show. And
At this point, Miss Patricia's just trying to hook Whitney up with anybody, though. Like,
probably.
Like, I need you here to take care of certain things, but I don't want to see you that often. Like,
You think
there's
that's
enough.
what it is? Yeah, you're hanging out with me too much.
Yeah, unless you have grandkids, then you can come back and do whatever. But enough of you here.
Yeah, I agree.
Building your bar in the back with all the whiskeys, and no, we're not doing that.
Yeah, what a loser. What a fucking loser. But something that troubled me, and I'm going to be very critical of Shep this season because of the ending of last season, because I spoke out on his behalf and said, hey, man, I hope that you're getting your shit together, and it's cool that you were able to see the error in your ways and go try to get it sorted out. I don't do that for people very often, so I feel like I'm invested in this fight now, and the first instance we have to see some kind of change, and it's small. Sure, it's not like a big thing, but it is still something where Whitney's like, hey, can I get you, was it seltzer or like a cranberry juice or something? He's like, no, I'll take champagne. I'm like, don't. If you're trying to make a change, don't. Like, even if it's simply for optics, to show people that you're making an effort. Like, it's not about can you control yourself on the champagne. And that's what a lot of people with issues do. They're like, I can watch this. I'll prove to you I can drink in public. It's like, that's not the point. It's like, how long can you sustain this before you do a full spiral? So I hated that it started out that way. He's already, after last episode, putting all the blame on Austen and Craig pretty much for his behavior, being like, well, I came to you guys, you didn't help me, and then I spiraled. It's like, that's not on them. They removed themselves because they were sick of the spiral. That's okay. They're allowed to do that. So in 2 episodes, you have 1, put your problems on other people. 2, when somebody offered you a non-alcoholic beverage to help you out, even though it felt like it was almost in jest coming from Whitney, you say, no, give me champagne. So I'm seeing 0 effort to actually make a change. I'm not surprised, but I am bummed, and it does piss me off, but whatever. I'm trying to not get
It's okay,
flustered about it. It's just annoying.
It's not
I hate
worth it.
when people use that shit like to try to prop themselves up. Then that's when it makes addiction and stuff like that seem lesser than a disease and more like a cop out for people. And people like this do it.
Right.
And it's like, well, you're downplaying the situation now, but whatever. I don't want to get into it. I'm sure I'll have to talk about it at some point this season because every show that we're watching has something to do with it. So I would like to not do it in this one, but they start talking about the Kane comment, and Patricia's obviously pissed. She's like, why give an 80-year-old a cane? I didn't realize she was 80. She looks fantastic for 80.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
This is a big Miss Patricia show. We love Miss Patricia. But Craig, this is not corroborated. I've seen this all over social media recently. He claims that JT called Miss Patricia a bitch. Now, Shep didn't hear it. We didn't hear it. There were cameras there. They didn't catch it. We got a audio not found thing. So we can't corroborate this. Could I see JT in one of his like verbal vomit spirals and just say like, oh, that bitch or something like that? Yes, I could. Will I condemn him for something I did not see? No, I will not.
Yeah, I don't know if he did. I figured more so it's more likely that he would have done it the day of at the Carolina Cup while he was walking away, maybe because of how it all went down, where Patricia and Whitney eventually just got it right up and walked away. And people were obviously looking at JT and then he starts to spiral. I could see that. But if we saw all of those other crazy things at the golf simulator and we didn't see that, I don't think it happens there. So maybe Craig just has his story wrong. Maybe he's got his lineup wrong. Maybe it happened somewhere else. But
we like to believe Craig here, but I need evidence.
Yeah, we need evidence for that one. And we don't have it. So we can't comment on it.
I won't do it. Even with JT, I won't do it. Could I see it happening? 100% yes. Will I go in on him for doing it? No, because we haven't seen it. But
correct.
What I'm so glad Craig did, and he knew exactly what he was doing. If you want the JT situation handled, just tap in Madison.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's when we'll get old Madison. Because of her newfound life, because of her husband and her family and this new outlook, the one thing that you can do to get old Madison to come out is threaten that. And for somebody like JT to call into question the sanctity of her marriage, how faithful she is to her husband, that will get old Madison to come out, and she will wipe the floor with Jay. He doesn't know what kind of thunder he's bringing down on himself. He has no idea.
this could be what he's referring to when he said that he had to take a step away because he has to go lick his wounds after what Madison did to him. That's what I'm thinking could be the case, but we'll have to see because she is not going to pull any punches on this. She hasn't been activated in a while. And like I said, she's still there somewhere beneath all the love and everything going on with her family. She is still there and ready to go.
Old Madison's still there. Current Madison is dealing with a lot at home, a lot of serious emotional stuff. The last thing she needs is some dude, especially some dude like JT, throwing up question marks about whether or not she was faithful to Brett. I think this could be one of the best reads that we're going to get out of Madison, especially because it's been a while since we've had like a full-blown Madison like mic drop moment. I'm really excited to watch the interaction. You could be right. This could have been the last thing for JT to be like, oh my God, I can't recover from this, because she's going to skewer him. It's going to be awesome to watch, and he deserves it. I don't think this is my biggest problem with JT when he does stuff like this. He doesn't think through the ramifications of certain things that he's saying. Like, you think it's this quirky thing for TV. You're fucking with a marriage and a kid involved. Like, there's deeper stuff here. And when you do this all willy-nilly, you open yourself up to a whole lot of backlash, and you fucked with the wrong one in Madison. Like, anybody else there, you probably would have gotten off a little easier. This is literally the worst person you could have done this to. And I can't wait to watch her take him to task.
Yeah, this is the final boss of you being a little asshole.
Yeah.
You want to go up, you want to test your skills, go ahead. Have some fun.
We're
going to have fun watching it.
But we get to the dinner scene. Shep gives, I will say, probably one of my favorite toasts I've heard at any holiday. That was wonderful.
It was incredible.
I really enjoyed it, genuinely, not even sarcastically.
I love that he knew who Pontius Pilate was, but didn't know who Judas was. Yeah, that is a Shepism.
Judas was a
betrayer,
coward, betrayer,
coward.
He's like sniveling coward. I mean, he was as well. Yeah, he's a coward and a betrayer. But I liked his speech. But as dinner comes out, looks lovely. It looks very, I know it was Easter. It gave me Thanksgiving vibes.
It did, with the sweet potatoes.
Easter.
It was the sweet potatoes, though.
Is that what it was? The orange on the plate makes it Thanksgiving.
Yeah. I don't know if I have sweet potatoes for Easter. Yeah, I don't think so.
I'm trying to think. Maybe like a sweet potato casserole with the mushrooms, the marshmallows on top. I've never fucked with that, by the way.
I love that. Oh, it's the best. Yeah, when they get charred up top, too, because they get a little different texture. Ooh.
Okay. No shade. I've never been big on it. I tried it. I'll try things multiple times. Yeah. I've tried it. I just can't get into it. I like sweet potato mash, but not that.
Yeah. All right.
Like a nice puree.
Yeah.
Oh, remember K-Pod? They did the sweet potato dessert.
Oh my God. Yeah. With the
Peter
scoop of vanilla ice cream on it.
And I forgot. You know, there's a step in the process that he microwaves it. Oh. And that's what makes like the sugar or whatever like stand out. Isn't that wild? It's like bake, microwave, bake again, I believe. Okay. I gotta remember. It's one of the best desserts I've ever had. It was a sweet
potato. Good luck with you remembering things.
Oof, am I right? Usually with cooking, that's where I have like this weird recall with cooking. That's the only thing. So I don't know. Cross your fingers. I'll keep trying. But anyway, dessert comes out. As we know, Molly's having some body image issues, right? Some confidence issues as well. They bring out some cupcakes. We get the cupcake hack, which this is my favorite hack in the world because everybody likes to claim that they invented it.
Correct.
Every person I've ever seen this from, they're like, oh, have you ever seen this? It's like, this is what everybody does. And you do, for those that you don't know, you're the last to not know. And now you do know. Cut your cupcake in half, flip it over, make a little cupcake sandwich with the icing. It is a better way to eat a cupcake. You get icing in every bite and it doesn't get messy. So that's the hack if you didn't know it. But everyone does, and then you act like you invented it. Whatever. Molly's eating her cupcake. She's like, oh, I was going to show that trick. You ruined it. I was going to be the cool person. As she's eating it, Whitney looks at her and goes, oof, that's the last thing you need. When I tell you, I was visibly upset that this guy, of all people, is going to throw this kind of shade at a woman, period, let alone somebody dealing with body image issues. This was one of the most disrespectful comments I've heard on one of these shows from a guy who, at this premiere that I went to, first of all, he has blonde highlighted tips right now.
Yep.
All right.
You
have blonde. Oh, no. You should have seen at the premiere. It was full blonde on top.
Oh,
all right. So he just had it retouched up. Full blonde on top. You are in your 50s, sir. You live at home with your mother. You've never done anything with your life. You're embarrassing to watch on TV. You were my least favorite character before I liked Southern Charm. You have no redeeming qualities other than money. That's not even yours. That's your mother's. You don't offer anything to this world. Somebody battling body image issues. You're going to sit there and say, you don't need that cupcake. She looks awesome. She looks great in this scene. She looks great in every scene that we've seen her. I saw at the premiere. She looks great. You look like shit. You look like a wannabe rock star nerd that highlights your fucking hair blonde. You have no room to point the finger at anybody for their actions or behavior or how they look. You literally live at home with your mommy. You don't do anything. You play the guitar and you say big words and you think that you're cultured and edgy. You have no life experience other than sucking on your mom's tit for your entire career. That's what you've done. What you've done is brought this show to Bravo. Congratulations, because you had a quirky friend group of stuck-up assholes in the beginning. And yeah, stick a camera on us and watch how deplorable we are. That's the basis of Southern Charm. Shall we go into the T-Rav scenario? Like, you haven't done anything. Molly has. She's battling this whole thing. She gained 40 pounds because of medicine she's taking, because of hormone issues with her thyroid. She's losing out on modeling jobs. And the last thing that she needs is somebody that she is trying to be affectionate with, calling her fat on TV because you think it's fucking funny. When again, sir, your big claim over these past 2 seasons is building a whiskey bar at mommy's house with mommy's money. Shut the fuck up, Whitney. Don't talk about anybody else's appearance. Don't talk about anybody else's lot in life. Go back home to mommy's house, curl up into bed. She'll come tuck you in. She'll have the butler give you a little hot cocoa before you pass out. And then you can listen to rock and roll music and think that you're edgy and cool because you wear trench coats. Go fuck yourself, you blonde-haired dick. By the way, when I met him, he was a fucking asshole. He was not polite at all. He shook my hand, brushed me off. I don't give a shit. I don't care if these people like me. You know that. Everyone that listens to us know that. I know a lot of people at that premiere that I get along with. They're nice people. Most of that cast is great, and they give you the time of day. They'll talk to you, whatever. The fact that he thinks he's better than anybody when he's done nothing with his life, given every opportunity in the world, is the funniest shit I've ever heard. And for him to try to throw shade at a beautiful woman for eating a fucking cupcake, go cut your hair and get a job, you fucking deadbeat.
Yeah, I think this worked out super well that he had the frosted tips in this scene too, because it's obviously he's the biggest dickbag in the world. And I thought that Molly handled that very well.
Extremely
considering all the stuff that she's going through and all the things that she shared with us about her current body image issues and how she's thinking about it and how she has to think about it every day. So for the fact that he's going to do that while Molly's worried that she's not classy enough for Patricia, she handled herself with just class.
Yeah.
Was able to play it off as a joke. Obviously, you still call him out for it. Everybody's jaw dropped there. Even Shep, who we've seen say terrible, terrible things to people, who we've seen him and Whitney, for whatever reason, get along forever because they've both been assholes to women, to sit there and not have a word to say to him in front of your mother, who you will pretty much your entire claim to fame is through your mother. You're going to embarrass her in front of that. You're going to embarrass your entire family. You're going to embarrass everything going on around here just by saying that and then playing it off as a joke and being like, oh, yeah, no, she knows
her for 10 years. I can say that.
Yeah, no, you can't. No. Just because you've known somebody, you could know somebody your entire life. You don't say that. You just don't say anything like that. And you don't deserve to sit there and get upset that JT handed your mother a cane if that's how you're going to handle women.
Correct.
Because you're a bag of dicks. That's how you would handle an 80-year-old woman if you were giving out canes. You would do the same thing because you have no class. You're a fucking little piece of shit. He's the worst. He's the worst one on this show. That's why I don't really care about JT anymore. After Whitney made that comment, everybody's thinking the same thing. What an absolute piping hot loser that guy is. And that's all that matters. And that should be everybody's takeaway. You can look at everybody else on this cast and say they've got shortcomings. He is the shortcoming of all shortcomings. That's where we stand.
It just goes to prove the old saying, money can't buy you class.
Nope.
You're rich, dude. That's it. You got money because your mom has money, because she hustled. You haven't done shit but waste her fucking money. She can't even set you up with somebody to have grandkids because you're such a piece of shit.
Mm-hmm.
She literally gave up at the end of this episode. She goes, I give up. Like your mom has given up on you.
Yep.
Because she knows that you're just going to continue to bleed her dry of her money, do nothing with your life, and say mean things about women. Great. What a guy. What a guy. Fucking class act. I didn't even want to meet him. Somebody, and you know exactly who, was like, dude, you gotta meet him. He's the best. And I was like, I really don't want to. And he brought him over. He's like, dude, this is my boy Steele, blah, blah, blah. I was like, what's up, man? Nice to meet you. He's like, all right, I gotta go get a drink. And like fucking cold shoulder me. I was like, and the person that introduced me was like, I'm really sorry, man. Like, I hate when he does that when he drinks. I was like,
he probably does it all the time.
I was like, if it makes you feel any better, that's exactly how I expected it to go. I expected nothing more from that big piece of shit, and nor do I
Without a
give a
doubt.
fuck, by the way, which is why I'm saying it on here. I do not
Yeah.
care. Don't care at all. So,
Why would we?
for that guy, are you fucking kidding me? What? Because he has money? Like, nah,
Yeah.
bro. And go fuck yourself. But anyway, let's get to some preguntas. Some questions from our faves. Oh, Rachel, and I'll answer that one at the end. That's fun. Oh, I like this from Max June. Do you prefer Taylor or Olivia? Olivia times 1,000. That's
Yeah,
not even a question.
close. Not even close. Although I will
was
say
great.
again, Taylor's not doing anything. Like we got a scene with her and Gaston. That's pretty much it. She didn't do anything in the first episode
I'm
either.
okay with that.
I'm fine with it. Yeah,
because you know what?
she doesn't.
read the
Again, she
room.
doesn't need to be on the show. But
No, but
you
she
know.
also read the room, and she's like, she's doing what JT should be doing. She's
Yeah.
just trying to fade off a little bit, like get through the first few episodes, and then maybe be in like the good graces with some people and work her way back in.
Yep.
This is the correct move after a disaster of last season. This is so funny from Jamie Gibbs. Not a question, just clarifying. JT did not go to A&M despite his hat. We don't claim him. That's funny because I forgot to say that, and I was like, of course this guy went to fucking A&M.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right, Jamie, you're vindicated. Nice job. From Jazz and A, if you can choose one perfect girl for Whitney, who would it be and why? He doesn't deserve to.
He doesn't deserve
be
anybody that we've
alone.
seen. Yeah. I'm trying to think. Like I'm trying to go to like my least favorite people on every show, and they're all still so much better than him. Like even like Alexis Bellino, still better. Actually, Johnny J. The two of them can go off.
Yeah, Whitney should date
Who
Johnny
says it
J.
has to be a girl? Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't clarify. She did say perfect girl. But no, Johnny J.
Yeah.
Johnny J and Whitney could be very happy with one another. Let's go to more.
I like Miranda E412. I saw this meme earlier. Not a question, but JT sitting on the bar reminds me of Elf on the Shelf. That is great.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
From Kate Linner. Did you see the Dumois email about the video of Shep? It was skating. Did you see that? I haven't seen that.
No.
We have to do some digging there.
Yeah, we'll have to do some digging there. Because there was another video that was referenced for a different Bravo person that did come out and is definitely true. So we'll touch DJ James Kennedy.
Oh yeah, well we have a lot to say about that one.
Yeah, that one will pop up on a news segment for sure.
Yeah, that, and rightfully so. Yeah, I don't know. I even just Googled. I can't find it. If you listen to this, send it to us.
A lot of if there's a video, great. But at this point,
I don't trust blind items.
The blind items coming out now, there's too many of them, and most of them end up being true. So
yeah, I don't try. And to their credit, I mean, Dumois says like these are not. It's not like they're throwing out. They say like these are not corroborated. So I'm not going to throw shade there. But I do tend to tread lightly with blind items until there's evidence to corroborate.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go with one more. This is funny.
You told Rachel.
I will answer the last one. Yeah, that's the last one.
Right.
From Sarah Pillardi. I know you love him, but please call out Craig for, in fact, lying a lot on camera over the years. I will say, Craig said on Watch What Happens Live, I've never lied on camera. You have.
We have camera evidence of it.
Frequently in the past. You are, in fact, a changed man for all intents and purposes. Yep. And we applaud you for the changes.
Sure do.
Made. But you can't say you've never lied. You've lied a decent amount of. They showed a montage of you lying this episode. And again, we don't have video evidence of the JT stuff. I believe that may have happened, but it's just, maybe we'll get it, maybe we won't. But yeah, we do love Craig. But yeah, we'll say that. That's easy. And then from Rachel Nicholas, favorite and least favorite person you met at the premiere party. My favorite, that's tough. There's a lot of Leva was really, really nice. I really enjoyed talking to Leva. Who else was great? Zach. I mean, Zach and Benji were probably my faves because we spent the whole evening with them and they were delightful. But that's the nice thing about most of these events that Shooter and I, when we go to them, 90%, I would say, of the people you see on TV are really nice in person. Like, even if you quote unquote are villain on TV, like in person, most of these people are very respectful, very nice. They give you the time of day. They'll shoot the shit. So I've had very few bad interactions like I had with my least favorite person there, which was Whitney. But again, I almost appreciated that it went that way because I was like, oh, this is who you are. That's what I figured. And
Yeah.
now I know for a fact you're a dick. Great.
Yeah.
Moving on. So yeah, that's the answer to your question there, Rachel Nicholas. Hopefully that helps. But other than that, we got another show to do right now. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this bad boy up. You got anything else?
Nope. All good here.
Yeah, Brad Bros are out of here.
Yep. But